بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله الناصح الأمين. اللهم صل على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين. ثم أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, we continue going over the tremendous book by the Fadil Shaykh Al-Allama Shaykh Abdis bin Abdullah bin Baz rahimahullahu ta'ala. The book which is entitled Durus al-Muhimma li'amat al-Ummah, important lessons for the general Muslim or the general masses of the Muslim, or for the Muslim nation, or the general Muslim. We are still on the section which deals with the pillars of Iman, Arkanul Iman, the pillars of Iman, the pillars of faith. This book is a book that is of tremendous importance, that Imam bin Baz rahimahullah ta'ala, he gave much attention to it. He was always revising it, as was aforementioned in previous classes. He would revise this book often, so much so that it has been stated that the final time that he revised this book was actually the year that he passed away, rahimahullah ta'ala. And this is the nuskha that the Fadil Shaykh Abdul Razak bin Shaykh Abdul Muhsin Al-Abad Al-Badr hafidhahumullah ta'ala used in his explanation, in which we're reading from. It is incumbent, especially in this era and this time that we live in, where there are a lot of distractions, that we focus in on those things that will benefit us and that are beneficial to us. As we find many of the things that people focus in on during these days are things which do not benefit them, but if anything are things that are detrimental unto them. So it is incumbent that we focus in on those things that will benefit us. Naam. The Prophet ﷺ, he said in that famous hadith, "Ihras ala ma yanfa'uk." Be very diligent in doing that which benefits you. Be very diligent in seeking after that which benefits you. Naam. And bila shak wa bila rayb, an individual having knowledge about the fundamentals of their religion, having knowledge about those things in which they are obliged to have knowledge about, benefits them. Naam. And these are the things in which they have to strive so that they may benefit from them, bi'ithnillahi ta'ala. From those is reflecting and pondering over the Qur'an, reflecting and pondering over the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's much benefit that is contained therein. As relates to these articles of faith, or these pillars of faith, the 6 pillars of faith, as Shaykh Abdul Razak hafidhahullah ta'ala, he mentions وَالْقُرْآنُ الْكَرِيمُ بُيِّنَتْ فيه هذه الأصول أتم بيانا. That the Qur'an, the noble Qur'an, inside of it, these principles, naam, usul, naam, these principles, these foundations, they are explained therein in the most perfect of ways. in the most perfect of ways. نعم. وأوفاه إجمالا وتفصيلا. It is explained in the most perfect of ways, very comprehensively, in general and in detail. They explain certain places in a general fashion, other places in a detailed fashion. They are explained completely inside of Allah's book. وَكَذَلِكَ سُنَّةُ النَّبِيِّ الْكَرِيمِ salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi, and also inside of the sunnah of the noble prophet salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. It is explained therein. For example, as it comes in the hadith of Jibreel, they are clearly stated, the articles of Iman in the hadith of Jibreel. Na'am. When Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam asked the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, فَأَخْبِرْنِي عَنِ الْإِيمَانِ, inform me about Iman. To which the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, أَن تُؤْمِنَ بِاللَّهِ وَمَلَائِكَتِهِ وَكُتُبِهِ وَرُسُلِهِ وَتُؤْمِنَ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَتُؤْمِنَ بِالْقَدَرِ خَيْرِهِ وَشَرِّهِ. Where the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he responded by saying, it is to believe in Allah. When Jibreel asked him and informed me about Iman, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, it is to believe in Allah, in His angels, in His books, in the Day of Judgment, and in Qadr khayrihi wa sharrih, in His angels, and to believe in Allah, in His angels, in His books, in His messengers, the Day of Judgment, and to believe in Qadr, the good and bad of it. Naam. As it comes in the hadith of Ibn Umar, فيما رواه مسلم في صحيحه. In the hadith, it comes in the hadith of Ibn Umar, and that which Imam Muslim, he brings inside of his collection of authentic hadith. So here inside of this hadith is clear. The Prophet ﷺ, he stated the 6 pillars of Iman. Naam. So it is important for every Muslim is that we know the dalil. We know the dalil. So the person, they come and they ask us, you're saying that the pillars of Islam, the pillars of Iman, then they are 6. وَمَا الدَّلِيلِ, what's the dalil that they are 6? Then we point them to this hadith. Also, if they were to come to us and say the pillars of Islam, you say that they are 5. وَمَا الدَّلِيلِ, what's the proof? Does anyone know? What is the proof? What is one of the proofs from the proofs is what? Huh? It's like a trick question. No, if the pillars of Islam are 5, someone comes and say, you say the pillars of Islam are 5. Naam. And they mention them, the shahada, the salat, so on and so forth. وَمَا الدَّلِيلِ, what's the proof and evidence for the 6 articles of faith, or for the 6 pillars of faith? And we mentioned the hadith of Jibreel, where Jibreel asked the Prophet ﷺ, inform me about Iman, inform me about faith, in which the Prophet ﷺ, he answered him, mentioning these 6 pillars of faith, of Iman. Naam. So now if a person were to come and to say, you also mentioned that the pillars of Islam are 5. The shahada, salat, to the end of them. What's the proof for that? I gave you a hint, it's obvious. What's the proof for it? Online, the sisters, they answer, they beat you. Now, the brothers in Canada. Who knows?
The same hadith.
Aywa, naam, ahsant. The same hadith. Hadith Jibreel. Naam, it's from the proofs. Why? Because before Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam asked the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam to inform him about Iman, he asked him to inform him about Islam. And Muhammad fakhbirni an al-Islam. Naam, then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he mentioned the 5 pillars of Islam. Right? So these are from the proofs and evidences. As you will find that the articles of Iman and the articles of Islam that are mentioned inside of the Qur'an and they're mentioned inside of the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But see, as Muslims, this is something that it behooves us to know about it. Right? And when one looks at this, then they start maybe to have a better appreciation for the collection of ahadith, and in particular the collection of ahadith al-arba'in al-nawawiyya, or al-arba'un al-nawawiyya, the 40 hadith of Imam al-Nawawi, because in these 40 hadith of Imam al-Nawawi, he brings inside of them the hadith that mention the pillars and the foundations, the foundational principles of the religion. The foundational principles of the religion. Because you hear people all the time talking about qawa'id, principles, right? And usul, the foundations. And you will find that the foundations of Islam, the foundations of Salafiyya, because they're the same, right? Or are they different? The foundations of Salafiyya, al-Qawa'id, usul al-Salafiyya, Qawa'id al-Da'wah al-Salafiyya, are they different from the Qawa'id of the Deen of Islam? Are they different or are they the same? They're the same. You sure?
The Deen is Salafiyya.
Aywa, nah, they're the same. The Deen is Salafiyya. Al-Islam هو السنة والسنة هي الإسلام. Islam هو السلفية والسلفية هي الإسلام. Right? So they're the same. So you find in the pillars of what? You find in Arba'in al-Nawawiyya, you find in the 40 hadith of Imam al-Nawawi, that he brings a hadith. In all of these hadith, you find a principle from the religion. You find a principle from the deen inside of that, in those hadith. So these hadith are of extreme importance, because you have in them those principles that deal with the aqidah, that deal with the minhaj, that deal with the akhlaq, that deal with mu'amala, that deal with our creed, that deal with our methodology, that deal with the fiqh, that deal with fiqh, that deal with our interactions, so on and so, that deal with our character. Now, all inside what? 40 hadith. It's tremendous. If a person were to memorize the 40 hadith, and they were to understand 40 hadith extremely well, they will have a richer understanding of the religion than a person who were to memorize the same number of hadith from Sahih Bukhaari. Meaning, from the first hadith of Sahih Bukhaari until you match that which is contained inside the 40 hadith, the person who memorizes the 40 hadith of Imam Nawawi and who understood them will have a better overall understanding of the principles of the religion than a person who started memorizing from Sahih Bukhaari and then went in order like that. Why? Because Imam al-Nawawi, he collected the hadith that were Juyaanee al-Kalam, the hadith that were short in their articulations, or but they were encompassing. Their meaning was vast inside of the articulations of those narrations. And this is why the ulama, they encourage the student to begin with the memorization of these hadith. Why? Just because they're 40 some odd hadith and they're small in number? No, because these hadith have principles in them. And it's unfortunate, but a lot of times you have individuals talking about the principles of Islam, the principles of Da'wah Salafiyya, so on and so forth, but they are unaware of actually what the principles are. They just speak about it in a abstract, general manner, but when you ask them, okay, well then mention to me some of the principles of the Da'wah Salafiyya, they can't mention some of the principles of Islam, they can't mention. And then when they don't have these principles to apply to their life, they wonder why their life is so chaotic. Things come up in life, you need to apply principles to it so you have an escape from that particular thing. You don't have the tools to escape, so you're stuck in foolishness. You're stuck in nonsense. Why? Because you don't have the principles. You have the principles, it's not even a trap for a person with the principles, because he knows how to step around it. Because he has the principles, so he knows to pay attention to that. He has the principles. Right? So, the 40 hadith is extremely important. These are something that we should be really spending a lot of our time with and really learning the principles of the Deen of Al-Islam, the principles of the Da'wah Salafiyya, and applying them so that we may truly benefit bidnillahi ta'ala. على كل حال, coming back, the Fadilatul Shaykh Abdul Razak, he mentions that the Qur'an explains the articles of Iman. That the Qur'an explains the articles of Iman. And also too, before we go on further, because you have shayateen, you have devils out there, right, who discourage from the studying of Aqidah and discourage from the studying of the creed, and so on and so forth. And they try to trivialize it, saying, oh, you can learn that in a very short period of time. You can learn this in a very short period of time. So you don't have to spend a lot of time learning it. From the shayateen, from the humans who say the likes of this stuff so as to push people away from concentrating and learning their creed correctly, is the likes of Hamza Yusuf. And his statement, I believe, is well known. If you don't know it, don't look for it. It's enough to know that he discourages people from studying Aqidah in depth and detail. He calls it a sickness. Wa'iyadu billah. He's sick. That's the reality. In any event, the point is that what? Don't allow the shayateen to come to you from the humans and to try to dissuade you from learning your aqidah, and don't allow them to come to you to say, you already know this is already known, so let's move on to other things. Because, and I'm saying this to say this, why? Because if you were to sit down and ask the common Muslim, remember this book is Durus Muhimma li'amat al-Ummah, important lessons for the general Muslims, right? If you were to ask a general Muslim about the articles of Iman, you will be shockingly surprised to find that they can't go in depth and detail with you as relates to them. But they say it's easy, you can memorize them in 5 minutes, right? But you can understand them fully in 5 minutes? They're the foundations. From those foundations, they sprout out different things. You know them in depth and detail in 5 minutes? No, not at all. So it is incumbent that we test ourselves, that we don't look and worry about this one and that one, but we look into ourselves, into our own families, and to try to strengthen ourselves and strengthen our families, and then those who we can help from our brothers, our neighbors, so on and so forth. Ask yourself, how much do you really know about the articles of Iman, about the Arkan of Iman? How much do you really know? Could you bring the Arkan of Iman with the proofs and the evidences? But adillah, na'am, could you show from the Qur'an where is mentioned inside of the Qur'an the adillah for that point to the Arkan of Iman? Do you have a true depth and knowledge, understanding of the Arkan of Iman? And if the answer is no, that's a problem, because we're talking about Iman. Iman. Na'am. Allah Ta'ala inside of His noble book, He says, Wal Asr, Inna al-insana la fi khusr. By the time, verily human beings are in a state of loss. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصُوا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصُوا بِالصَّبْرِ. That all of mankind is in a state of loss, except for who? Except for those who believe. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. We're talking about Iman, believe. That Iman مَبْنِيٌّ عَلَى الْعِلْمِ is built upon knowledge. Iman is not built upon jahl, it's not built upon khurafat, it's not built upon superstitions, it's built upon ilm, built upon knowledge. كيف تؤمن بشيء تجهله? How can you believe in something that you're ignorant about? You can't believe in it because you don't know about it. So you have to know about it. So it requires you have knowledge. Knowledge of what? Ilm billah وملائكته وكتبه علم بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله ويوم الآخر والقدر خيره وشره. Na'am, that you have proper belief in Allah and His angels and His books and His messengers and the day of judgment and qadar khayrihi wa sharrihi. It's important. It's changing life. It changes your life, right? So the point is that I want all of us to bear this in mind, because the shaitan, and he'll come and distract you. The shaitan from the shayateen, and even jinn, they'll come and distract you. Person, he might hear the likes of this, or be reading through the likes of this text, and then his mind starts to wander, right? Starts to wander, because somewhere in the back of his mind, the shaitan is whispering to him, this is simple. Why don't you do something more complicated? Why don't you do something more complex? Why don't you do something, more that's more of a challenge? You've been Muslim for so many years. Why are you wasting your time with this? You already know that. You understand? Don't let the shaitan come to you like this. As Sheikh Saleh Abdis al-Sheikh, he mentioned, this is about the repetition of knowledge. He says that the one who says he knows is ignorant, and he has missed out on much. just because you read something once, yani read it again. Why? He said because the second reading is not like the first reading, and the third reading is not like the second reading, and the fourth reading is not like the third reading. Every time you read it, you're going to see something new. You're going to learn something different, and you're going to either learn something new, you're going to see something different, or you're going to be adding certainty on top of certainty. Now, so it benefits you. It benefits you. Right? So just keep that in mind, inshallah ta'ala. So the Shaykh, he goes on and he mentions, he says that inside of the Qur'an, these fundamental principles, or these usul, these pillars of Iman, they are mentioned. Right? And he says in various places, and he starts to bring some examples of places in the Qur'an where they are mentioned. Then he starts to bring some examples in the Qur'an where they are mentioned. He says, وَأَوَّلُ ذَلِكَ, and the first of this, مَا جَاءَ فِي أَوَّلِ Surah Al-Baqarah, is that which comes in the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah. Right? Now, I want everyone just to be honest with themselves. You don't have to answer out loud, but answer to yourself. In the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah, we're talking at the beginning, very beginning. Alif Lam Mim, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ. Now, Alif Lam Mim, ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين. نعم. طيب. You see, Marachi is important. Allah understand. Now, على كل حال, in the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah, the beginning, the onset of it, how many of us have read this, memorized it? But I want you to ask yourself and to be honest with yourself, have you ever seen what the Shaykh is going to mention? Naam, have you ever seen what the Shaykh Hafidhullah Ta'ala is going to mention at the offset of Surah Al-Baqarah? Allah Azza wa Jal, inside of this tremendous surah, in the beginning, He says, Alif Lam Mim. Alif Lam Mim. Naam. ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين. This is the book wherein there is no doubt. A guidance for those who have taqwa. A guidance for those who have taqwa. Allah Ta'ala, He says, الذين يؤمنون بالغيب. Those who believe in the unseen. ويقيمون الصلاة. And they establish the prayer. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. And they spend from that which they have been given. نعم. وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ. And those who believe in that which has been revealed unto you. وَمَا أُنزِلَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ. And they believe in that which was revealed before you. وَبِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ. And in the hereafter they have certainty. Allah Ta'ala, He says about these individuals, أُولَٰئِكَ عَلَىٰ هُدًى مِّن رَبِّهِمْ, that these are the ones who are upon guidance from their Lord. وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. And these are the ones who are the successful. They are the successful. Naam. But in those 5 ayat, they are a proof for the pillars of Iman. They are proof for the pillars of Iman. Now this is what I want everyone to ask themselves. Honestly to themselves. Who has picked up on that before this time? Who has noticed that prior to now? That all 6 these ayat are proof for them. Who has picked up on that prior to now? You see? So is it important that we study and reflect over the Qur'an? Yes, no doubt. How many people know about all this other intricate stuff intricately inside their life? Right? Every Ramadan they read, and inshallah ta'ala even more than that, but they read through the Qur'an from cover to cover. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala throughout the year as well. How many times have we heard this surah? The beginning of this surah. How many times have we recited it? How many times have we read it? But have we ever caught that point? Right? Now, I'm saying this to say is that use that as a motivation, use that as fuel for what? To focus in on that which benefits you. Because how many people can tell you intricately about this, intricately about that, and stuff that really don't benefit them? Right? They can get into, matters that don't concern them. They can get into matters that don't concern them. For example, how many people can tell you about some fitna? There's a fitna between this sheikh and that sheikh, and this sheikh said this about that sheikh. And we're not talking about the mashayikh making refutation upon Ahlul Bid'ah. We're not talking about that. I don't want anyone to ever think we're talking about that. That's from the deen. Refuting innovation is from the deen. Refuting the innovator, that's from the deen. That's from the deen. We worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by way of refuting falsehood and refuting the people of falsehood. So I don't want anyone to think we're talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about those ikhtilafat that may exist between Ahl Sunnah. People get into the intricacies. And this is keeping in mind that Sheikh Fawzan, he mentions that when you have issues like this is between the scholars. Issue between the scholars. Anyone outside the scholars speaking about it, make it worse. The scholars deal with it, right? But the point is, how many people know intricately about this sheikh said, and that sheikh said, and this sheikh is this, and that sheikh is that, to the end of it. Details. But then when it comes to things that really concern them, right, they don't know about it. Going back to 40 hadith, it's a principle from the religion. What's one of the principles of the religion? مِنْ حُسْنِ الْإِسْلَامِ الْمَرْءِ تَرْكُهُ مَا لَا يَعْنِيهِ. That from the person's good Islam, he leaves alone that which don't concern him. That's a principle of the redeemed. That's a principle of Salafiyah. They leave alone that which don't concern them. The ulama, they explain, they mention that the meaning of لَا يَعْنِيهِ أي لَا يَنْفَعُ, that which does not benefit him. That which does not benefit him. Naam. Inshallah, I think we get the point. Inshallah, we get the point. The Shaykh Fawzan mentions, he says, حَيْثُ يَقُولُ رَبُّنَا تَبَارَكَ وَتَعَالَى. He says, when our Lord, the most blessed, the most high, he says, هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, a guidance for mankind. A guidance for mankind. What's the guidance for mankind? The Qur'an. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. This is the book wherein there is no doubt. The guidance for those who fear Allah, those who have taqwa. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. Those who they believe in the unseen, they give they establish the prayer, they give from that which they have been given. وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ وَمَا أُنزِلَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ. And they believe in that which was revealed to you and that which was revealed before you. نعم. وَبِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ. And in the hereafter they have a certain knowledge. أُولَٰئِكَ عَلَى هُدًى مِّن رَبِّهِمْ. Now these are the ones who they are upon guidance from their Lord. وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. And these are the ones who they are the successful. فهذه الآيات الكريمات ذكرت فيها هذه الأصول العظيمة. He says in these ayat there are mentioned in them these tremendous great pillars. Yani usul, principles, meaning what? Pillars. والأسس المتينة, and the great strong foundation. وصفا لعباد الله تبارك وتعالى المتقين, as a description for the slaves of Allah, the most high, the most blessed, the most lofty, those who have fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وهذا فيه أن أساس التقوى الذي عليه تبنى وأصلها الذي عليه تقوم هو الاعتقاد الصحيح. استمعوا. He says in that is that inside of it we see that the foundation for taqwa The foundation for taqwa, the muttaqun, those are the ones who have what? Taqwa. They have taqwa. They have taqwa. I don't even want to translate it because it taqwa. You know taqwa, right? Why is taqwa important? Why you want to be from the muttaqin? Why? Allahumma ja'alna min al-muttaqin. Oh Allah, make us from those who fear Him. If you go through the Qur'an and look what's for the muttaqin, Allah Ta'ala says, Inna lil muttaqina mafaza. That verily for those who have taqwa is mafaza. What mafaza? Jannah. Jannah is for who? The muttaqun. So you want to be from those who have taqwa. Jannah is for them. So what's the foundation of taqwa? Once you find out what's the foundation of taqwa, now you understand the significance of taqwa. It takes, maybe you have more appreciation for it. What's the significance of having taqwa? What's the importance of taqwa in the life of the believer? It's tremendous. That's it right there. You want to have taqwa. So now, what's the foundation of taqwa? Is what? And what is that in which the taqwa is built upon? What's the foundation that taqwa is built upon? Is the correct belief. The correct belief. I'tiqad as-sahih is the correct belief. Na'am. Correct belief in what? بِهَذِهِ الْأُصُولِ الْعَظِيمَةِ. The correct belief in these tremendous pillars. The pillars of Iman. نعم. وَالدَّعَائِمْ الْمَتِينَةِ الَّتِي يَقُومُ عَلَيْهَا الْإِيمَانِ. And it is the foundation on which Iman is built upon. طيب. وَقَوْلُهُ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى. Because as of yet a person say, okay, but we still ain't seeing where in it is it mentioned these articles of Iman. Where do we see it? From these ayat. He says, وَقَوْلُ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى. And Allah Ta'ala's statement, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. And those who believe in the unseen. Those who believe in the unseen. Naam, the unseen. أي الذين يؤمنون بكل ما غاب عنهم. Those who believe in everything that which is unseen unto them. مما أخبرته به رسول الله. From that which they have been informed by the messengers of Allah. Na'am, that which they have been informed by the messengers of Allah. This iman and that which is unseen is tremendous. Maybe we don't understand the level of it, but it's tremendous. It is something that is from the best. It's from the best of iman. The belief in what? In the unseen. وهذا من أكمل أوصاف المؤمنين وأجلها. And belief in the unseen is from the most complete characteristic of the believers, and is from the most noble of the characteristics of the believers, is to believe in the unseen. It's to believe in the unseen is from the most complete, and it is from the most noble characteristic of the believers. Because that belief in the unseen is based upon that which the prophets and the messengers, they have informed us about. That's what is built on. That's our dalil when it comes to those matters of from the unseen. Is what is Allah said, the Prophet ﷺ said. قال الله قال رسول الله. It's very important. And I wanna sidetrack, but not really, and say what enters into belief in the unseen, as Shaykh Salih al-Fawzan ta'ala, he mentioned, is that anything that happened really far in the past, then this will enter into belief in the unseen. Right? So for example, when people start talking about things that happened millions and millions and millions and millions of years ago, then we know that all of that stuff in which they are saying is dhanni, is speculative. It's speculative. There's no way they can know with certainty. Why? Because it happened so long ago. It's from the unseen. It's from the unseen. So, and this is important, especially for those who are studying interdisciplinary studies and things of this nature. Secular studies, another term for that, is that you'll have, especially in physics and these type of classes and so on and so forth, and they start astrophysics and all this type of stuff, they start speaking about things of this nature. what happened way back when, and so on and so forth. Millions and 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 millions of years ago. And they speak like they have certainty. It's dhanni. They don't. How they know for certain? They didn't see the creation of themselves, let alone the creation of the heavens and the earth. So how do they know for certain? They don't know. But they come across like they do know. And unfortunately, some of the Muslims, they get tricked. Whether it's because of the confidence, the presentation, the propaganda, whatever the case is, and they start talking about these things as if they're certain as well. Because, oh, this man is certain, and he's an astrophysicist, and he's I don't care, what does that mean? Right? And the point is that these things enter into the matters of the unseen. So for the believer, from the characteristics of the believer, is that we believe in the unseen. Allah Ta'ala, He tells us about something. Khalas. We don't have to understand it. We don't have to comprehend it. Allah said it. That's the way it is. The Prophet ﷺ, he tells us about something. We don't have to understand it. The Prophet ﷺ said it. That's the way it is. That's from our deen. That's from our deen. The Prophet ﷺ said it. It's as he said it. That's the way it is. If he said it, then it's true. Because he ﷺ, he said it. And the only human being that has that status for us is who? Is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Is it? Because he is conveying to us from his Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when the Prophet ﷺ says something, khalas, sami'na wa ta'na. We hear, we obey. We don't argue with it. We take it. It's not subject to be rejected at all. It's not subject to be rejected. That's how it is with the Prophet ﷺ. This is one of the principles of what? Of what? This is not a rhetorical question. Huh? Now it's from Muhammad Rasulullah. Now it enters into that was necessitated by the belief of Muhammad Rasulullah, that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. Now, sent. It's from, and it's also what a principle of our what? Religion. Sah. It's also a principle of Salafiyya, right? Correct? Now, you would think that this is like Salafiyya 101. That the Prophet ﷺ is the human being that when he says something, is not subject for any debate. It's not subject to be rejected. We accept it, hands down, no questions asked. The Prophet ﷺ said it, it's the way he said it. We accept it, it's true. That's only for him. Is that the case for Abu Bakr?
No.
Huh? No.
It's only for Rasulullah.
It's only for Rasulullah.
Everyone has an opinion that can be either accepted or rejected, except for the Prophet.
Ahsan. Nah, ahsan. See, that's the Deen 101, right? Everyone's opinion can be accepted or rejected except for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As Imam Malik used to often say, يعني كل يؤخذ من قوله ويرد إلى صاحب هذا القبر ويشير إلى قبر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. Now it means that everyone's statement could be accepted or rejected except for the companion of this grave, and he used to point to the grave of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. Meaning the only Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم is from the human beings. That his statement is accepted. It's not subject to be rejected. Anyone else, you can accept it, you can reject it. What's the criterion of accepting and rejecting? So now let's go back to Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. He is the best of the believers, right? After who? After the Prophet ﷺ, and who else? The other believers better than Abu Bakr. The other believers way better than Abu Bakr. Hands down. Who else is way better than Abu Bakr? Huh?
After him? So you said before him.
Before, right?
I didn't say.
Abu Hurairah.
I didn't say.
Abu Hurairah.
Nope. No, Abu Bakr is better than Abu Hurairah. Again, I'm getting a hint. Sometimes the simplest questions are the hardest.
Umar bin Khattab.
Nope. Abu Bakr is better than Umar. Nope. No, Abu Bakr is better than all of them.
I don't know.
Abu Bakr is better than Ali. Abu Bakr is better than Aisha. Abu Bakr is better than Bilal. Abu Bakr is better than all the Sahaba. He's better than Uthman too. Fadal. Aywa, ahsant. The other prophets. Aywa. The prophets and the messengers are better than Abu Bakr. Naam. But after the prophets and the messengers, Abu Bakr is the best human being ever. And I want you to understand this. After the prophets and the messengers, Abu Bakr is the best human being ever. But with that being the case, his statements are still subject to be rejected. Based on what? What's the criterion? When will we reject the statement of Abu Bakr? If it goes against the Sunnah, if it goes against the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, meaning that what? Because Abu Bakr, hashalillah, he would never intentionally go against the Prophet ﷺ. But if he made an ijtihad, that was ijtihad. He tried hard, he didn't have a direct statement from the Prophet ﷺ. He made an ijtihad that contradicted what the Prophet ﷺ said, then what? Then we're going to go with the Prophet ﷺ, because we don't put anyone's statement in front of the statement of the Prophet ﷺ. Now, as relates to status, whose status is better than Abu Bakr? From this ummah, from the believers, from the other Sahaba and those generations that came after. None has a higher status than Abu Bakr from us. The only ones we mentioned that has a better status than Abu Bakr is who? Is the prophets and the messengers. Right? Is this not Salafy 101? Correct? Is it not? It is. Okay. The other four imam, four khulafa, their status is tremendous. Right? But do we ever in the history of Islam, that any of the Sahaba said is like this because Abu Bakr said it and that's it? And when you said, what's the dalil? You don't know who Abu Bakr is? No, you said, what's the dalil? Huh? They must don't know who Abu Bakr is. Has anyone ever said that? Huh? No one. No one has ever said that. You know, they don't know the knowledge of Abu Bakr? Yeah, we know the knowledge of Abu Bakr, but what does that have to do with this? We don't put anyone's statement in front of the statement of the Prophet ﷺ. Period. Right? One of the Sahaba, he said what? When someone said Abu Bakr and Umar, he said, I'm scared the sky is going to fall down. I'm saying Qur'an Rasulullah, and you saying that Abu Bakr and Umar said? Right? This our deen, is it not? Okay, the four imams, how great are the four imams? They're tremendous. They're tremendous, hands down. I don't think there's a single scholar in the world today will say that there are ulama today that are better than the four imams, more influential than the four imams, have more ilm about the deen than the four imams. I don't think there's anyone in the world right now will make that claim about anybody who's alive right now. I don't believe so. Wallahu a'lam wa a'lam. I don't believe a person will make that claim ever, because their status is known. Correct? Right or wrong? Their status is known or is it not known? No. It's known. But with that is the case, could a person come in and say, but Abu Hanifa said, that's it? Is that a hujjah? Huh? But the status of Abu Hanifa, look at his status. You don't know who Abu Hanifa is? What about Imam Malik? Can we say, but Imam Malik, that's the Imam of Darul Hijrah. He said it. That's enough, right? You don't know who is Imam Malik? Has anyone said that? Huh? Well, no, people do say it, but we don't give them credence. Those blind followers of the madhab, don't they say stuff like that? But Imam Malik said, but we don't accept it, do we? Say, it's about the proofs and the evidences. Imam Malik himself taught us what? Everyone's statement can be accepted or rejected. The four imams themselves taught us, if I say something that's contrary to the sunnah and throw it, I say it away. That's what they taught us, because that's the principles of the religion. Those people who have exaggeration as relates to them, we don't accept it. We say, no, we don't accept that. Why? That's not from the deen. But why? Because if that wasn't the case for Abu Bakr, how is it going to be the case for Imam Ahmad? If no one from the Sahaba ever utilized a person's status as a proof and an evidence, how in the world can anyone else utilize a person's status as proof and evidence? Is that sound like that's from Sunnah? Or that sound like that's from Sufiya? Because the Sufis do that. The blind followers do that. The people who are straight, they do that. That's not what Ahlul Sunnah do. No, we base everything upon the proofs and the evidences. Even we've been taught by our scholars, be it Shaykh Rabi', be it Shaykh Al-Bani, Imam Al-Bani, Imam Bin Baz, Imam Muqbil, Imam Uthaymeen, so on and so forth, and those who were before them from previous to our time, the likes of Shaykh Islam Taymiyyah, Ibn Qayyim, Imam Al-Barbahari, Imam Ahmad, so on and so forth. The Imam, the Sahaba themselves taught us that what? That we base our judgments, we base everything upon the book and the Sunnah. That's what the proof is. The book and the Sunnah, ijma'. Naam. Anything outside of that is subject to, and we have to weigh it. Not saying that, and I don't want anyone to understand from it, not saying that we're saying, we from the people who can weigh the proofs and the evidences to make a decision and so on and so forth. No, we're not saying this. But what I'm saying is that statements have to come with their proofs and their evidences. Anything outside of that, it's just not taken like that. And then you can't come and say, but the sheikh, you don't know the status of the sheikh? The status of the sheikh, they say, sheikh said, okay. Based on what? I have the right to ask that question. But then, if a person come and they say, but Imam Ahmed says this, it comes a riwayah inside of the madhab. Imam Ahmed, he said this. Okay, I don't have the right to say, but based on what? What's the proof? What's the proof for that statement? Where did that come from? I don't have the right to say that. That's disrespectful. We're going to say no. It's not disrespectful for Imam Ahmed. Okay, so it's disrespectful for one of the imams of our day and time? What happened? I thought we have consistency inside of our deen. Truth is consistent. When you start seeing inconsistencies, this is indicative of what? Something's not right, something's not true, something's wrong here. And these are those principles that if we apply them, we can sidestep so much fitna. People get caught up and they fall in it, and we can just sidestep it. Because we got the principle. You can't come to me and say, but the sheikh said, okay, that's a delete. I must stand in front of Allah and say the sheikh said. No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to. If you feel safe to do that, that's your prerogative. I'm not doing that. I remember years ago, I was talking to one of the, got some advice, one of the a senior student to me, right? And I asked him, I said, listen, we here, there's two ways you can study fiqh, right? From the madhahib or from hadith, like this. I said, what is the best way? What do you think is the best way? He asked me a very simple question. He said, what do you feel more comfortable? Do you feel more comfortable standing in front of Allah? If Allah asks you about a certain thing that relates to your fiqh, saying, Imam so-and-so said, or saying, the Prophet ﷺ said in this hadith. He said, what do you feel more comfortable with? I said, I feel more comfortable standing in front of Allah saying that your messenger said X, Y, Z. He said, there's your answer. It's very simple. Right? There's your answer. Now, again, I don't want no one to think that you can't have a madhab. You could have a madhab. You could, it's fine. It's fine. I have a madhab. I'm Hanbali. It's fine. I say that, it's fine. Right? As long as what? As long as you're basing everything on the proofs and the evidences. So just because Imam Ahmed say it, don't make it true. If it coincides with proof and evidences, that's what we're clinging on to, the proof and evidence. Not that Imam Ahmed said it, but the proofs and the evidences that he brought, that's what we cling to. That's what we attach ourselves to. That Allah said, the Prophet ﷺ said, that's what we attach ourselves to. That's our deen. That's Salafiyah. You follow what I'm saying? So this is what we have to do. This is what we have to cling on to and strive to understand. Because this is our deen. That makes sense? No. So, getting back to what we're talking about here, and the importance of clinging to the proofs and the evidences, is because when you have knowledge and you understand the proofs and the evidences, and you reflect upon the proofs and the evidences, now that really changes your life. As opposed to sitting and contemplating that Sheikh so-and-so says something. Don't connect yourself to personalities, to human beings. Connect yourself to the proofs and the evidences. Do you know, the last time, one of the advices that, subhanallah, and the mashaykh, they know what's going on. They look, they're not unaware of what's going on. some more informed than others. Now, some are a little more informed than others, right? And it's due for various reasons. One of those reasons, just to put it there, so people don't say, well, wait, he mentioned reasons, but he didn't mention, various reasons, but he didn't mention one reason. We're not them type of people. One reason why some mashaykh are more informed than others of certain things that are going on right now is that what? Is that some are more skilled in using social media. So a lot of stuff that goes on right now takes place on the platform of social media. So they see what's going on, they see this foolishness. Whereas those mashaykh who are not as engaged in social media or don't use social media whatsoever, period, then of course they're not going to know about these things. Unless somebody tell them. Other than that, they're not going to know about it. Why? Because they don't know the unseen. Right? Right or wrong? I mean, we're human beings, correct? The person that's sitting in his car right there, over right now, doing whatever, do any of us know what he's doing? No, we don't know what he's doing. That's unseen to us. Even though he's only 50 yards away, sitting in his car, doing whatever, saying whatever, we don't know what he's doing and saying. We can't hear him. We can't see him. It's unknown to us. It's unseen to us. Right? We don't claim that anybody has knowledge of the unseen, do we? We don't. Sufis do. Not us. And we Salafy. In reality, no one knows the unseen except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He revealed certain things from the unseen to His messengers. Now, but none of us are messengers, so we don't claim this. None of our mashaykh are messengers, so we don't claim that for them neither. So they're uninformed of certain things and they don't know what's going on. Anyway, long story short, so many mashaykh. From them, Shaykh Abdurrahman Muhyiddin, he kept giving advice. Connect the people to the text, not to people, not to individuals. Right? SubhanAllah. Okay. Right? That's what the Shaykh is really told us. Right? More than one time he told us this. More than one time. But likewise, my past visit to Saudi, Sheikh after Sheikh after Sheikh kept saying the same thing. Connect the people to the text. Now, it is incumbent that we do that, because that is what's going to change our lives and safeguard us. That's what's going to enrich us. That's what's really going to prepare us to meet our Lord. And this is what it's about. We have to prepare to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to strive for the Jannah. And we look at a lot of stuff that people are striving for, is not helping with that. Not at all. It's not helping with that. So I just want everyone to keep that in mind. But anyway, let's look. When we look at Allah Ta'ala's statement, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, those who believe in the unseen. What was the understanding of the Sahaba as relates to belief in the unseen? Because that's something that's really important. You know what's Salafiyya? What would we be saying? Salafiyya is what? To be upon the Kitab, the Sunnah, upon what? Understanding of the Salaf al-Salih. Na'am. Right. So what's the understanding of the Salaf al-Salih as relates to belief in the unseen? Like, how important was it to them? The Shaykh, he mentions, he says that in Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, Wallahi alladhi la ilaha illahu, he said, by Allah, to whom none has the right to be worshipped except for Him. By Allah, the one who none has the right to be worshipped except for Him. ما آمن أحد بأفضل من إيمان بالغيب. He said that no one believes in anything better than belief in the unseen. No one believes in anything better than belief in the unseen. فانظر, so look, هذا الوصف العظيم الجليل الذي وصفه الله تبارك وتعالى به عباده المتقين. He said, so look, that this characteristic in which this tremendous and noble characteristic in which Allah, the most lofty Tabarak wa Ta'ala, He describes His slaves who have taqwa with, He describes them with, Allah Ta'ala says, He says, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, those who believe in the unseen. فَالْإِيمَانُهُمْ لَا يَتَوَقَّفُ عَلَى الْحَوَاسِ, their iman is not restricted to their senses. لأن كثيرا من الناس لا يؤمنون إلا بما يعرفه من خلال حواسه, because many of the people they don't believe in anything that they don't know of by way of their senses. نعم. والحواس العبد خمسة, and the senses of the slave, then they are 5. الذوق والشم والسمع والنظر واللمس, is that their taste, their smell, hearing, seeing, touch. Okay? فما لا يعرفه من خلال هذه الحواس لا يؤمن به ويجهده ويكون كافرا به. So whatever they don't know by way of these senses, then they don't believe in it, and they are obstinate as relates to it, and they reject it, and thus they are disbelievers as relates to it. They disbelieve in it. This is the characteristic of what? Of the kuffar. Those who only believe in what they could taste, touch, smell, feel, whatever, to the end of it, from those senses. Not that what they can taste, that what they can smell, they can hear, they can see, or they can touch. That's it. That's all they believe in. So these individuals, right? These physicists and so on and so forth, and all these individuals, that's how they are. They only believe in, quote unquote. That's what they claim. They liars. They kuffar. What's after kufr? Right? They kuffar. But they lie. They say, we only believe in stuff that we can quantify. Yeah, but you can quantify Darwinism? That a monkey turned into a human? Come on. You can quantify that? You quantify that nonsense? No, you can't. But they believe in it. So they liars. But anyway, I'm saying it to say it so that we understand the level of these individuals. They're intelligent morons. And that's the reality of the situation. That's them. The believer, وَأَمَّا الْمُؤْمِنِ, as far as the believer, فَعِنَّهُ هَذَا الْأَصْلُ الْعَظِيمِ, he has this tremendous principle with him. What's this principle that the believer they have with them? Is that what? يُؤْمِنُ بِكُلِّ مَا غَابَ عَنْهُ مِمَّا أَخْبَرَتْ بِهِ رُسُلُ اللَّهِ Azza wa Jal, is that they believe in everything that is unseen unto them that they were informed of by the messengers of Allah. They believe in it. The messengers of Allah inform us about something, we believe in it. Why? Because they're conveying to us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And who knows better than the Khaliq? Who knows better about the Khalq than the Khaliq? Who knows better about the creation from the Creator? The Creator knows. The Creator has informed us of the reality of the situation by way of His messengers. So we believe in it. But already right there, it gives you an indication, because you mentioned it before, right? Already right there gives you an indication of the overall answer. She's like a build-up, you know what I mean? Is that what? Is that the messengers have informed us about aspects of the unseen that Allah Ta'ala conveyed, revealed unto them, so that they can convey it to us. How did it reach those messengers? By way of what? The angels. It came down, what? Those books were revealed to who? To the messengers, so on and so forth. You see? That's like a little sneak peek, right? But okay. So فيدخل تحت هذه الجملة, so it enters under this in general أصول الإيمان كلها. So all of the Iman enters into this in general. نعم. ولهذا قال أبو عالية, and for this reason Abu Aliya وغيره من أئمة التفسير, Abu Aliya and other than him from the scholars and the imams of tafsir, فيما نقله ابن جرير وابن كثير وغيرهما, from that which Ibn Jarir, the great Imam Ibn Jarir, Imam Kathir, and other than him, they mention, as Imam Abu Ali and others from Mufassirun, they have said that الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, that those who believe in the unseen, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ, those who believe in Allah. We believe in Allah. Have you seen Allah? No, but you believe in Allah. Correct? Right. وَالْمَلَائِكَةِ, and believe in the angels. Have you seen an angel? No, but we believe in angels. نعم. وَالْكُتُبِ, and the books. The Qur'an, نعم. We have the Qur'an. وَاللَّهِ الْحَمْدُ. But the other books, the previous books, in the original forms, we got them? No. We don't have them. But we believe in them. Right? وَالرُّسُلِ, and the messengers. Have we seen the messengers? No. We believe in them. Even those believers who saw certain messengers didn't see others. Because this is a belief that is shared amongst what? Because remember we said that these 6 are beliefs that are shared amongst all the believers ever. Ever. All the believers ever. All had the same belief in these 6. So, those, for example, those believers in the time of Adam alayhi salam, or those believers in the time of Noah or of Musa, so on and so forth. Now, when it was foretold that other prophets were going to come, those other prophets were in the future. So that was for them unseen. They don't know about them. They know about the prophet that they with, but they don't know about the other ones. Likewise for the Sahaba, now they knew the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but they didn't know about Isa. Isa was, 500-600 some odd years before them. So that was unseen for them. Yahya, Yaqub, Musa, Ibrahim, Nuh, alayhi salam, unseen for them. It happened so long ago, they didn't see. So it's unseen. Right? So they believe in the unseen. So far as us, we haven't seen any of the prophets, any of the messengers. So us is unseen. So we believe in them. نعم. طيب. وَيَوْمُ الْآخِرِ, يوم الآخر. Anybody saw the day of judgment yet? You seen it? I ain't seen it. No one has seen it. So it's unseen to us. And what's important too, as Shaykh Islam to me, he mentioned inside of Aqidah wa Siddiq, is that what enters into belief in the day of judgment is a belief in everything that happened after death. Everything that will happen after death, and beyond. So from the time what we've been informed of, what happened when you die, until the end. All of that enters into belief in the day of judgment. That's what it means. So what's going to happen when the angels are taking your soul, right? We get an ayat in the Qur'an that points us to what? Belief in the 6 articles of faith. It's linked to what? Belief in the last day. Also linked to the belief in the angels. Because this is the part of their functionality. The Malakumun, they come and take the soul. Angel of death. You see, it's linked. It's all there. It's all there. But it's very important that we're able to recognize and to appreciate it. Now, likewise, قَدْرَ خَيْرِهِ وَشَرِّهِ. قَدْرَ خَيْرِهِ وَشَرِّهِ. This is unseen to us. We don't know what Allah Ta'ala has decreed. We believe in it. That which we see from what Allah Ta'ala has decreed, okay, alhamdulillah. But there's so many aspects about that we don't fully understand. We don't know. Right? We don't know. You marry this woman right now. Allah decreed for you to marry this woman. You don't know what has been decreed from the khayr to come from this woman. Why? Because that's years away. Years away. Right? Imam Malik, we're talking about Imam Malik, right? Imam Malik's father, he married a woman and he didn't see her, he didn't see her until after he married her. He didn't see it after he married her. So once he saw her, he didn't like her. Physically, he didn't like her. And she was very intelligent, so she was able to see that he didn't say anything disrespectful to anything like this, but she was able to see that he didn't like her. He didn't like her, right? So she mentioned it to him. She said, perhaps there's much benefit in that which you don't like. Perhaps Allah will put a lot of benefit in that which you don't like. When he saw her say that, he realized her intelligence. Right? He saw her intelligence, her character, her strength of character, intelligence, her iman, so on and so forth. Right? And this is a good reminder for the sisters as well, because she had confidence. She still had confidence. Right? She didn't look at herself in a bad way. She didn't have self-esteem problems. You understand? She didn't have self-esteem problems. And our sisters need to realize that. Is that regardless of whatever the case is, don't allow an artificial standard of beauty to dictate who you are and to make you feel the way about yourself. Don't have to have anything upon you, because all of these things are relative. What's pretty to one is not pretty to another. What's pretty now may not be pretty tomorrow. You follow? And so on and so on. These things really don't mean anything. They're irrelevant. They really don't mean anything. Because for the believer that's striving against the Jannah, everybody in Jannah is beautiful. All the men in Jannah are handsome. All the women in Jannah are beautiful. So that's the goal. Anyway, long story short, so when he saw her intelligence, he kept her. He said, okay, she's very smart. She's very intelligent. I like the religion. He kept her. And then from that union came Imam Malik. Allahu Akbar. You see? Came Imam Malik. Right? So anyway, when one reflects on the belief in qadr that the believer has, it helps them on so many levels of their life. Day in and day out is of extreme importance. Like all of these beliefs, all of the beliefs in the 6 articles, they help us in our life. They enrich our life in this world and in the next. So these things are tremendous importance. In any event, also ba'd al-maut, and the being resurrected after the death. All of this enters into Allah Ta'ala's statement, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, those who believe in the unseen. So now we go back and we say, okay, these ayat from Surah Al-Baqarah, you're saying that inside of these first, these first 5 ayat, then there is dalil which points to belief in the last day. What's one of those proofs and evidences that point to belief that point to belief in the articles of Iman? What portion from those verses is one of the portions of the verses that point to these beliefs? Is what? Is what part? Those who believe in the unseen. Now that's one of them. There's some more that point to other portions of it, but that one points to belief in what? In the 6 articles, the belief in the unseen. That makes sense? So from the proofs and the evidences which points to belief in the articles of Iman is the belief in the unseen. Right? Belief in the unseen. Why? Why? No, you're right, because all of it, what? Right. So it all enters into the unseen, right? So all of the arkan of Iman, all 6 of them, they enter into the unseen. They enter into the unseen. So when you say belief in the unseen, that encompasses all of them. So just that portion of the verse is a proof and an evidence which points to the articles of Iman. That makes sense? That points to the articles of Iman, because all 6 articles of Iman, or all 6 pillars of Iman, are unseen. They're unseen to us. So by believing in the unseen, it encompasses belief in Allah, in His angels, in the books, in the messengers, in the last day, in qadr, khayrihi wa shar. Now, that makes sense? Just that one portion. So now we go back to the question we asked a long time ago, right? And we just answer to ourselves. How many of us have read through the Qur'an, have read this verse in particular, have read this portion of the verse in particular, and picked up on all of that? You see that? So when we say, right, that we have to connect ourselves to the people of knowledge. See, if you want knowledge, you connect yourself to the people of knowledge, because they have it. In fact, the one who's deprived of something, he can't give it to you, right? So we want ilm of the religion, so we go to what? To the people that have the ilm of the religion, because that's how this religion is passed down. The Sahaba taught the Tabi'un taught the Atba' Tabi'in, so on and so forth, until today, right now. That's why you find the same belief of the Imams of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah in our day and time is the same belief of the Sahaba. That's what in the Sahaba, where they get their belief from? The Prophet ﷺ. It's from the Wahi. It's from the 2 revelations. Right? But this is how it is. It was taught down, taught. So if you want to get taught, you have to connect to what? To the ulama. You can't get it from just reading books. You can't. Books help, and they're a tool. Books help, and they're a tool, right? They're a tool in your arsenal. Books, recordings, whether that recording will be whatever platform it is. It could be, old school tape, right? CD, right? Little more modern MP3 or whatever. It helps. Those things help. But to really, really, really benefit, you got to take it from the ulama. Got to take it from the ulama. And that's the balance of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, because the Ahlul Sunnah, we in the middle. We in the middle. We're not like those who have disrespect for the ulama, right? Like the Khawarij, disrespect for the ulama, right? And we're not like those who over-venerate the ulama, like the Sufiya. They go overboard in their respect for, what they call quote unquote ulama. Right? Ahlul Sunnah is in the middle. We have tremendous respect for the ulama. We know their status. We know their level. We know their superiority. We understand that. But at the same time, we leave it at that. We don't let it go too far now, where we start to glorify them beyond their scope. And now whatever they say is like we make them infallible, that they can't make mistakes. No, that's not correct. That's not true. That's not what the Prophet ﷺ taught. Not at all. That's not what the Sahaba were upon. We don't find it in the Qur'an. We don't find it in the Sunnah. We don't find that from the way of the Salaf of this Ummah. You know why? Because it's not from Salafiyya. Period. Right? So, the Shaykh, he goes on to mention more, and inshallah ta'ala, we'll pick up and continue this discussion. But there's one point when we're talking about belief in the belief in the unseen, and just in general, from the principles of our religion, a statement that I love, and I want to just mention it, right, as it comes here. And that is that min Allah ar-risala, from Allah is the message, wa an al-rasul al-balagh, and upon the messenger is the conveying of that message, wa alayna taslim, and upon us is to submit, and upon us is to submit. Naam. And that is something of tremendous importance. We have to connect ourselves to the texts of the Qur'an and the Sunnah upon their proper understanding, and we have to submit to them, and we will see our lives enhanced and be enriched tremendously. ونقف هنا ونكتفي بهذا القدر، وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين، وجزاكم الله خيرا.